Continuing with the news review right here on Power Breakfast Citizen TV, and as we went into the break, Kipchumba Murkomen, the senator from Elgeyo Marakwet, joined us. Karibu sana Mheshimiwa.
Thank you very much.
Good morning and happy New Year.
Good morning, happy New Year. Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're the youngest of all of us.
Yeah.
Why you could not be here earlier than all of us? I have to be very tough with you.
I still have responsibility of dropping children to school. You don't.
And it's good to have you on the panel.
What is this that students at 5 a.m.?
It's good to have you on the panel, and you missed out on quite a bit of a discussion. We discussed about the doctor's strike.
No wonder you were saving this thing of NASA, because you see,
we have a balance.
Which balance?
We need the Jubilee side to actually comment.
If you were to do quantum of how the length of time people speak, Wamatangi speaks half of this program.
We need to remind our I need to remind our viewers that you can text your feedback on 22422. 22422. Kindly text your feedback as we continue the show. You can start with the word news review or Power Breakfast. Then we can probably sample some of your feedback as we go along. Now, the senator from Elgeyo Marakwet is here, and I think this is the right time to discuss this issue about governor's security. Now, we've seen what is happening in Mombasa and Kilifi. Hassan Joho yesterday mentioned something about it when he was speaking at the NASA forum in at Bomas of Kenya, and without going into much of what happened at Bomas, we have gentlemen here on the panel who aspire to be governors as well. You want to be governor of Mombasa County. Senator Halwale wants to be governor of Kakamega. But do you think it is right for any of these county bosses to have their security withdrawn? I understand even you as a senator, you have some security assigned to you.
First of all, let me thank you very much for having me this morning. I know I missed the show, but I listened when I was coming. And allow me to just say one word about the President Obama. Unfortunately, Obama exits and you have a toxic Trump. And in the two speeches, Obama makes a more reconciliatory speech. Trump comes quarreling to the scene, and I think Americans will lose. They will lose that legitimacy now to give us lectures about democracy globally, because back home they will need to do a lot. In fact, we may need to send some senators and so forth to educate them about democracy.
They're still able to manage their transitions better.
No, I don't think it's the transition is the problem. It's the leadership that comes in that divides people. You know, Muslims versus Christians, blacks versus whites. You're talking about you know, Democrats versus Republicans in a very toxic manner. I've never seen another president of America in my lifetime, including in reading history, that is more divisive than the one that's coming in. But that's really just
Mumira's president here in Africa.
But I think Trump is worse than any dictator that you can imagine in this country, in this continent. But let me now come to the fact. Yes. I mean, Senator Omar has one security officer, I hope. I don't know if it's more than one. Kalwale, in most cases, I've never seen a security officer. There's a day I drove along the road here and I found Kalwale driving himself at about midnight. And he was okay, jovial and happy. He must have been coming from a social place. I think we are the wrong people to be asked questions about security, because we are the Senate who discussed the exaggerated number of security officers, ambulance, sirens. Governors were loading on people. I mean, if you went to the Mombasa County, you would think that the governor is carrying money every time to the bank. I mean, you have security all over. You know, there's a more fundamental question. It's not even the question of withdrawal of security or so. What is this that these governors have done that they need that kind of protection?
Have you now discovered that they had too much security?
And by the way,
not even a bill in 2013.
And the question we're asking ourselves is that why would someone who has been devolved to go and stay with his own people? In fact, Article 176 of the Constitution says the self-government of the people at the county level. let me be very honest. I don't expect. I think Kalwale, if he wins the governor, and I think he might win, and Omar Hassan, I don't expect them to do what certain governors do in the counties. They might be what my governor is, the governor of Uasin Gishu, the governor of West Pokot. If you meet them, you never even think that there's a governor around, or Governor Mvurya who comes from Governor Timami. So there's a more bigger fundamental question. But again, of course, in principle, the police department should not be involved in competition between national and county government, and they should not operate on the directives that if a person disagrees with the president, you punish them, whether it's security or something else. But also the facts have not been made public. We are told that Governor Joe had over 20 security officers with sirens, with people who have guns who are civilians. If he was requesting about 2 security people, at most 2, we senators have 1. So if we're asking for 2, we would say it makes sense. But for them to have an entourage, their family, their business, I mean, it's ridiculous.
There's a circular
that
I have.
Yeah.
And establishes senator, 1 escort officer.
Yeah.
To get senators and governors under the same cluster.
Yeah.
1 escort officer, we call them an escort officer, which people could name as a bodyguard. But in terms of official terms, they're called escort officers. And then you're allowed an extra 4 for your residence. Or 2 during the day and 2 during the night. And you know me, I didn't even know there are 4.
Yeah, 4. But you have them.
Yeah,
no, I don't.
So if I don't, in fact, I have none of those.
And I'm sure.
And the last one here, ask anybody, because I got a bit of inspiration from my brother. You know, I sit next to him. He tells me, why do you fear the people who elected you? So I just got rid of it totally because of the fact that you know, Mtetezi had made a compelling argument about this whole exaggeration of persons. But then sometimes when the media does it in good faith, like I saw the Star did it, saying we have simple, Boni was put there, and we said we don't have security. Sometimes it also exposes us. But for me, what my question has been, so I made a demand that Governor Joho and Governor Kingi, plus all other governors inclusive, be reinstated with their 1 bodyguard. As per that official dome, and there are 2 and there are 4 residential official residence security, because this is like exaggeration. Also, is a mind game. But number 2, also it's an election year we are coming in. You know, I don't drive myself. I don't drive because I can't drive a car. I make that confession. So in fact, I only.
You do not know.
I don't drive a car at all. I've never driven a car. I've owned cars. I have never driven. Even right now, as I talk to you, you'll be surprised that I own 2 cars in Nairobi, 3 cars in Mombasa.
You can't drive any of them.
I don't drive any of them.
I'll take you to driving school.
You know, I want to emulate the late Professor Mazrui. He never drove a car his lifetime. So I think there's something about it I find cool. In fact, I used to bother my driver until the Uber came in. It's the most convenient thing. You just need to, you know, we're now after hours. So you need to.
But you move around without security.
Where is it?
Okay.
But now what let me tell you now, election here. Why I gave the statement with the audacity that I gave the day before yesterday. This is an election year. You know, you hear over the time here that Joho is this guy who ni mbaya, akona ukora, sijui akona pesa. You know, the only 2 qualities they always mention are those 2. So my view is this ukora, we've been doing our own assessment of it. Where does it emanate? From where does it stem from? The impunity has been largely because for a long time of state complicity. Because for me to beat you and not to be taken to court, it means that somebody in the police establishment is conniving with me and complicit about my excesses. Then the second one, I realized there was literally an armory at their disposal. Everybody's carrying a gun, and these guns.
Are these police guns?
No, they're guns that are private firearm holders. But
so he has his own private security.
But those are friends and family and everybody. But then you look at it this way. Ask the people of Mombasa. Have there not been showdowns over trivial issues like fighting over a woman, where somebody withdraws a gun against the other? Somebody walks out of a petrol comes to a bank. the door has been closed, and the askari tells him you can't come in, removes a gun and shoots in the air in frustration. People being pointed at people across the board.
Yeah.
And seriously, you know, there are certain things. There are people out there when you discuss these issues. They are real to us. We live in Mombasa. Then you hire some brigade somewhere saying, oh, you're a moron. You know, this thing. But have to overcome this fear of branding.
Senator Wamatangi, because here on at Citizen, we have quite a number of stations under one roof. And we get a lot of visits from these governors. And one such governor from a county near Nairobi was here a few weeks ago. I won't mention which county, but the number of cars he came with could not fit inside the compound. He had to leave at least 6 cars outside the premises.
He needs whipping.
With guards. All those cars were full of guards. Now,
then it must have been Wamatangi's governor.
That VIP security being withdrawn from this particular governor. Yeah? So if at all the problem was that some of these governors have too much security, this particular governor, his security should have been withdrawn. But we're not seeing that.
You know, let me first start by saying that, you know, Senator Hassan Omar said that I speak halfway through this program. he was trying to divert attention from himself. Anyway, but I think let me say
it affected you, man.
When you got elected, I got a call from the security officers here, and they told me that you're entitled to security in your home in Rural, one policeman, and in your home in Nairobi. I gladly declined. I told them, thank you. Send those two to guard the people of Kiambu in the slums of Kiandutu, in Thika, and Misri in Limuru and other places. And if you go to my home in the rural Kiambu, I don't have a single one. If you come to my home in Nairobi, you can walk in through a gate. And I'm comfortable. You know, and this is about myself, not about other people. You know, I came to Parliament to be elected and entitled to that security 4 years ago. Since then, I had lived in this country for more than 40 years. And I have been out and about, I have done business, I have flown, I have had family and children, and I've gone dancing and singing.
Are you saying therefore
my point is this. You know, this is just, you can let this hangover get into you, you know, and that you need to carry around yourself all these symbols of power, so to say. And that is why, relative to what you're saying, that you find some people may find it you know, necessary, if that's the only way to express their political popularity, by engaging a whole convoy and causing general mayhem and melee in small towns. Remember, there was them who were discussing this, and one of the governors, now the one you're talking about here, who came into Citizen, maybe that's different because this is in Nairobi. There is one, we went into some rural town when we were visiting as a public accounts committee, and you know, he's from one of the small rural counties, and then the guy, when we are doing our inspections, buzzes through a small town with only 2 shops, with about 6 cars and sirens, and the sirens and policemen trying to whisk people away, and the people they're chasing is one herder, a goat, and I mean, and so you ask yourself, you know, is it really necessary?
But they still have their security not withdrawn.
That's why I would say, one, it is important to rationalize. We must say that some of that is excessive. I would want to say to my colleagues, it is not necessary.
But you do agree some politics comes into play. Yes.
Well, not only politics. I think this is about the individual. You know, when I came to Parliament, I always met, before I was elected, I used to meet one of the long-time politicians, Ouma Muga, somewhere around Insurance Plaza there. You know, and the guy was walking alone, you know, with his hands in front like this, all over. Sometimes when I was a young man, I would meet Martin Shikuku in town. you know, walking around saying hello to people, you know, all over. And I think this is as simple as it can be. So I would want to urge governors, you know, let this go. It's not necessary.
Come September this year, you could just be the next governor.
Will be.
Oh, yes, you could be the next governor for Kakamega. Do you think you can now operate without state security?
This discussion is arising from what happened in Mombasa to Governor Kingi and Joho. The government is doing the right thing, but at the wrong time.
And for the wrong reason.
They are being perceived to be punishing Joho and Kingi. But what the government is admitting, and which most of us as senators had already realized and spoken to, was that there was a lot of wastage on the amount of money spent on the security of governors. You know, unknown to Kenyans, as you see the governor going that way, also his wife, she's accompanied by another convoy of vehicles and also security officers.
Going in a different direction.
Going in a different direction.
As you're attending First Lady's Forum in the country.
Let me give you a real example, and I always speak nothing but the truth. There is a little town in my place called Mbale. Mbale is the headquarters of Hika County. I have been at Mbale, whose only road is the highway from Kisumu to Kakamega. I have been there in those little roads in the village there. I have seen the governor of Vihiga in a motorcade in those villages, and the fat boys they have hired as extra security. They jump, they push people, border people, and so on. A lot of rubbish. It has even gone further beyond what the government is now addressing, whereby now most of the governors have got militia.
Through the
name of called enforcement officers. So, like in Mumias, 2 weekends ago, in Mumias, this reel, it was even on social media, the actual photographs. The governor arrived with people dressed in green, with green caps and green and black berets, and they were beating the supporters of Ben Washiali, because earlier on Ben Washiali had confronted Oparanya in a funeral, and there was mayhem. So it is something bigger than what they were doing. We need to remove those militia from the governors. We need to define the size of security.
It is already defined.
Yes,
I do understand.
So already defined. We need to enforce. Yes, we need to enforce that. But more importantly,
but
now
a governor should have state security.
I'm coming to that. Yes. But more important than all that, leaders must know there was a reason why in the constitution there was a demand that a governor must have at least university education. To my understanding, an educated person does not suffer from inferiority. You don't have inferiority complex. But a governor who was nothing, then suddenly becomes what he has become. He's suffering from inferiority complex. He wants to tell the people who used to think that he is nothing that I am everything.
Let me say two things. I was out of the country. Even being in Zanzibar is out of the country. I had to wind that trip Samarelli. First and foremost, Uhuru Kenyatta coming to Mombasa to launch a footbridge was in bad faith. It should not have happened in the first place at all. I remember a few months ago I was talking about Raila coming to give away checks for 4,000 shillings, and I said that's beneath him, and he should not allow a governor to subject him to that. So nobody should subject his offices to these types of trivial matters. But secondly, I was extremely annoyed, almost, that Mombasa County, a county rich in history, a country rich in its diversity, intellect, at the beginning of every year is committed to a sideshow between an altercation between the president and the governor, and then this kind of narrative. So you lionize somebody over very trivial issues. The real lion is the person who delivers to his people and ensures that his people are better off every day that they wake up. They look to him as hope, and he provides that hope. So I was asking myself, the narratives that are, have you heard this argument about how many guns a governor has, the security detail of a governor in any other county apart from Mombasa. And I was like, this is an urbane county. This is the second biggest metropolis. We need to put this debate to an end, and that's why I came and said audit the security once and for all, not out of malice, out of sheer concern for the county that it cannot be engaged in this narrative. And secondly, I'm happy. Before yesterday, you know, yesterday when then the governor had threatened to sue for that security, the government responded by saying he will be given his entitlement. And his entitlement means the one escort officer and the four trailing officers, the 4 officers at his home. And that's why he said, knowing that this time this will be even difficult to sue on account of the fact that there's a written circular, he said, I don't want it at all. But I think we cannot allow Mombasa County constantly to start discussing the governor.
One, there is a motion that was brought by Senator Viga, George Haniri. No, not a motion actually, it was a question about enforcement officer in counties. We have serious militia, and I said in the Senate, we have pressure groups are all now militia in about, let's say, about 10 to 15 counties across the country. I am glad it's not in my county, it's not in my neighboring West Pokot, it's not in Baringo, it's not in Uasin Gishu, but in a number of counties, almost 15. We have serious people purportedly called enforcement officers, modeled around former county council askaris, but now who have been taken to the village to enforce nothing in the village, you know, except to beat people in campaigns and so forth. And next elections will be very dangerous if we continue in that direction. The police boss should move from this security actually privilege donated to us, because people of Kenya are suffering, and we are saying we are their servants, and we are denying them security. So first of all, they need to move to that stage. Number 2, the Mombasa incident of the President and Joe and the subsequent discussion about security is the most primitive thing that can ever happen. Because, you know, a governor, he must be accountable to the people. Now the governor of Mombasa is hiding his ineptitude, his corruption. I mean, over 1.something billion money is lost in Mombasa. Questions are not being asked on Governor Joe to account as per the constitution. He's being let go because his party leader, to start with, is covering up him and his neighboring governor when they ask questions about accountability. Number 2, he's hiding on attacking President Uhuru so that his mistakes as a governor. If the people of Mombasa were looking for an ODM attack dog to attack Uhuru Kenyatta, then they should elect a governor who will manage the resources of Mombasa, because it's one of the most important counties for this country. So we must not get lost on the argument that it's 4 years down the line, county government must be accountable. Yesterday somebody was talking about Jubilee, or doctors are not serving. Largely, medical services, including in Mombasa, is a function of county government.
And we now want to hear what the governor from Mombasa said. If my director could help me with this, we want to hear what the governor said
and he should tell us about his
at the meeting,
well.
at the NASA meeting, regarding with regard to his state security.
The Joho Marwa spat is far from over. The Coastal Regional Coordinator yet again putting Mombasa Governor Ali Hassan Joho and Kilifi Governor Amason Kingi on the spot, with claims that the two have recruited ex-military security officers as their bodyguards.
So kama umeajiriwa wewe ni ex, umepewa task fulani kufanya wakati wa hii campaign, ujue serikali iko na wewe. Afadhali utoke mapema. Move out. Sasa wewe unaingia kwa gari, you are not in uniform, wewe ndio unawekewa hayo mabunduki kwa socks ingine kwa kiuno unawekewa 2 kwa socks 2 because wewe ni ex, si ndio? So you think the government is not aware?
Hata wanifanye nini? In fact, let me tell you, tangu nitoke Ghana kwa mara ya kwanza, leo nimetembea bila walinzi. And I can tell you, I am the happiest man on earth. I've driven myself to this venue, and I'm going to drive myself home. Na kama ni kuchungwa, nyinyi mtanichunga.
Marwa accused the two governors of running a criminal militia group to unleash during the August general election.
We are going to this election when there is law and order in the region, whether you like it or not.
Mombasa County traffic marshals have also been put on the spot, with Marwa claiming that they are stationed even in minor roads to provide protection to drugs by barons known to the county government.
wanashika watu, wanaenda wanaweka, wanadetain wao, wanawapiga. This is a security question. Ni wangapi? Why is it that of late there is an excessive overemployment ya inspectorate kwa barabara zote mpaka vichorochoroni? What is the agenda? Is the agenda traffic?
Wow.
I just want to add
tough question.
It's not lost on us that the governor of Mombasa has a fake degree. And Matiang'i, I just want, I want to say something. I'm a lawyer, I know. That debate has been going on, but let's be very factual. I said in Senate that perhaps we needed to remove the academic qualifications, because some people are lying to us that they achieved papers at the day that we know they never attended any class. If it's really, and Senator Khalwale has said very important issue, the inferiority complex of those who have not attained education in the manner in which they should be. And I have seen the most exaggerated security is around people who have inferiority complex, whether they are senators or governors or MPs. And I think we need to audit. Matiang'i should move from now high school to university, so that we have credible leaders running for the next election with a qualified delegation.
If you ask me for an audit,
I have said he has a fake degree.
I've said something. Let me say something about the comments he made. At that point, that very day, the headline in the Coast edition, I was in Mombasa for the funeral. The headline of the Coast edition said that Joho is going to sue the IG for his security. What happened, the IG, I think the security establishment had already also indicated to him that they were going to reinstate him with his one bodyguard, that is entitlement, and I hope they enforce it across the regime. They remove that from that guy from Kiambu, they remove it from the guy in Nakuru, they remove it from everybody. In fact, that should be our next crusade.
Because it should be across the board.
It should be. We know the ones who have exaggerated security. They remove it from this guy here in Machakos. They are those who have an exaggeration, including our brother here in Nairobi. They reduce it to one, and their officers at home. And these sirens, if Kenyans, there's a camera, don't move away from a siren of a governor. Don't. They are in charge of county security, traffic. It is not their traffic to move, it is everybody's traffic to move. Finally, so the government told him, you can have your 4. So realizing that, I think his lawyer told him, this one you will lose because there's a circular, because that circular is known to him and to everybody. This one you will lose, even if you go to court, you will not get the 20. So play victim again. Say, okay, chukweni. But you know that for a fact that he was getting his basic minimum, and he had lost it even in legal terms.
Yes, Senator Alwale.
I am very unhappy with what is going on. Before you took my mic, you had asked me, won't I need security when I'll be the governor of Kakamega? But ask myself, the siren that will be in front of my vehicle. I'm coming from Malinya, my home. I'm going to Kakamega, 10 kilometers away from my home. I will pass Shikalagala and Khayega. Do I need security to pass through Khayega? When I'm going to Shinyalu, do I need security? Do I need security in Lugari? The point is, those are villagers who love me. They voted me. They gave me hundreds of thousands of votes. They will not want to kill me.
They want to hug you.
In fact, and so that we don't look like we are demonizing governors, I'm going back to this issue of the quality and integrity of our leaders. Kenyans saw when Songo was brandishing AK-47s in public in the name of his personal security. So this is not a problem of governors, it's a problem of the quality of leaders.
Education.
Inferiority complex, completely. Okay. I want to prove to because I was a primary school teacher, then somehow
big man syndrome.
Somehow I got a River Road degree, and I've become the governor, I want to prove that to the guys who beat me and left me as I became a primary school teacher, that I am the sheriff,
big man
in this town.
Because of time, I beg that we move on from that debate about governor's security. Of course, it will continue creating.
We should not bring this. In fact, this debate should not be there again. All this comes from Mombasa County. This pettiness is Mombasa County.
If I told you,
we cannot allow a county to constantly be discussing security and foot bridges.
Look at Marwa.
Survived.
Look and listen to what Marwa is saying. Marwa is complaining, and yet the constitution has given that power to him to take action against these people. We came from a function of CORD, and a governor aspirant of Mombasa was coming behind me. So I saw a vehicle come and clear me off the road. So as usual, an aspirant of Mombasa, not Hassan. So when I cleared off the road, I told my driver, let's see who is this big man that is pushing us. I saw you and pushing us. And when I looked, the boys started laughing because they realized they are pushing away a senator to allow somebody who is an MP who hopes to be governor to be cleared for. So when these boys are moving on, they are carrying fake, they are carrying fake radios, police radios. As they do these things, they do it right under the eyes of the police. Why can't the police take action? Instead complaining the way Marwa is complaining.
Okay, gentlemen, let's now talk about.
Because
of time, let's now talk about the biggest headline this morning.
But you've said it. You said an MP wants to be governor. There's only one in Mombasa. Let's go to the headline now.
On the front page of the Standard, NASA is here. That's the front page of the Standard with a very huge photo of the 5 gentlemen. That's Musalia Mudavadi, Kalonzo Musyoka, Raila Odinga, Moses Wetangula, and Nick Salat. Nick Salat's position, or rather presence in that meeting, is causing controversy. Already we'll be discussing that. On the front page of the Daily Nation, something similar.
I have to tell my people. They have one leg family in Jubilee and another leg in
I will discuss that in a second. Another photo, a similar photo, United Against Jubilee. NASA there, the 5 gentlemen again there. Now, the biggest talking points from this, of course, the unity. There's the fact that the delegation from Western Kenya also talked about Mulembe Nation, where Moses Wetangula and Musalia Mudavadi and yourself, Senator Halwale, were called onto the stage, and you made a declaration that you're going to move on, forge ahead as a united bloc. Also the fact that Isaac Ruto, the governor for Bomet, did not show up. Chama Mashinani all along has been indicating that he's with the NASA brigade, but he was nowhere to be seen. Gideon Moi was not there. Nick Salat, the Secretary General of KANU, was there, but immediately after that meeting, 2 individuals from KANU, that's I think Lonyangapuo from Elgeyo Marakwet, and Zipporah Kitoni from West Pokot, and a senator from West Pokot, and they came and said, and Zipporah Kitoni said that is not the KANU position.
Absolutely. I mean,
not the KANU position. So Senator Halwale, because you were there,
yes,
you in this entire panel, you are one of those people who were there. You are the only one who was there.
Yes.
How far? What have you managed to achieve? We are not seeing all the people that we thought we were going to see on that stage.
This is the story. Your question is the story of an over-demanding father who doesn't want to appreciate that his son is trying. The son, who has been scoring 49% in mathematics, arrives home with a mark of 55%, and the father tells him, "You have done nothing." Surely, given the challenges we have had as the opposition, to have come where we have come, if we were at 30%, surely we have improved. Now, 2 things I must respond to. We were not called as Mulembe leaders to be paraded. We were responding to a narrative by the media that we are not united, because some people who have no mandate whatsoever, people like Atuoli and others, they don't miss an opportunity to climb a podium and say our people will go this way. So junior fellows like the MPs who are captive by Jubilee, Shiali, Wangwe, Shinali, and what have you, the same. So as the senior leaders of our community, and we didn't buy it, we have earned it over the years that we have been in leadership, we were telling the country that where we are is where the community will vote, for real. So that was a statement intended for that purpose. As for the concerns about Isaac Ruto and the divergent views within KANU, it points to only one thing, that the leaders of the opposition, our core principles, now 4, should stop this attempt of wanting to say we are with so and so and so and so, looking like they are begging them. We are not with KANU. The time to demonstrate that we were with KANU was when we were voting for these crazy laws. And you should have seen how, using Kindiki's phone and using Murkomen's phone, Gideon Moi was being talked to by the president in the speaker's office. Literally. And the president then told Gideon Moi, thou shalt not vote with this. So the fact that the boss of KANU did not vote with us at the time when it was most needed, KANU is not